Imagine this. It's the early 21st century. The bright lights of Paris, Milan, and New York beam down on glamorous runways. Models strut confidently, not in flashy mini dresses, but in elegant flowing garments that drape their bodies with sophistication. Modest fashion is stealing the show, making a bold statement that beauty isn't about how much you reveal, but how you express yourself. From high-end brands to global influencers, everyone's talking about it. But where did it all begin? Let's rewind, way back to the ancient world, where the story of modest clothing first took shape. For centuries, modest clothing wasn't just about covering up, it was about who you were. In ancient Rome, the stola wasn't just a dress, it was a declaration of status and virtue. Married women wore these floor-length gowns to symbolize their respectability. Picture the streets of Rome, bustling with traders, senators, and women whose clothing spoke volumes without saying a word. Meanwhile, across the sea in ancient Greece, modesty meant elegance and practicality. Women draped themselves in flowing chitons and peplos, garments designed to reflect their roles in society. As expectations confined them more to domestic spaces, their clothing followed suit, becoming more conservative, but no less dignified. Fast forward to the Middle Ages. Religion takes the lead, shaping fashion in ways no runway designer ever could. In Christian Europe, long tunics and veils were more than garments. They were moral statements. The church taught that modesty was a virtue, and people took that to heart and wardrobe. At the same time, Islamic regions celebrated modesty with flowing robes and veils, not as constraints, but as powerful expressions of faith and identity. These garments weren't just fabric, they were a connection to something greater. Then came the Renaissance. The world was rediscovering art, culture, and creativity, and clothing became more elaborate and decorative. Yet even amidst the ruffles and lace, modesty wasn't forgotten. The elite balanced their love for luxury with societal expectations of restraint. By the Victorian era, modest fashion had hit its stride in the Western world. Picture women in high-necked dresses, long sleeves, and skirts that swept the floor. Society held up restraint and propriety as virtues, and clothing reflected that. But not everyone was on board with the tight corsets and endless layers. Enter the dress reform movement, a group of trailblazers who dared to say, "Can we look modest and still breathe?" Spoiler alert, they were right. Now let's turn up the heat as we step into the 20th century. The world was changing fast, and fashion had to keep up. The counterculture movements of the 60s and 70s threw tradition out the window. Miniskirts, bell-bottoms, and bold prints took over, but modest fashion didn't fade into the background, it adapted. Designers like Ralph Lauren brought elements of modesty into their collections, blending history with modern chic. Prairie dresses made a comeback, proving that simplicity never goes out of style. Meanwhile, religious communities stayed true to their principles. The Amish and Mennonites embraced plain, handmade clothing that spoke of simplicity and faith. Orthodox Jewish women followed the practice of tzniut, covering their hair and wearing skirts as a testament to their beliefs. And in the Muslim world, garments like the hijab and abaya became symbols of both modesty and empowerment. And now fasten your seatbelts, because we're zooming into the present day, where modest fashion isn't just walking the runway, it's owning it. Picture this, your favorite high street brands dropping modest collections, luxury designers weaving elegance and coverage into their masterpieces, and social media lighting up with influencers proving that you don't have to bear it all to slay the game. Modesty has gone mainstream, and it's making waves bigger than ever before. Let's dive into how it's taking over and why it's here to stay. Big name brands like H&M and Dolce Gabbana are jumping on board, creating collections that cater to women who want style without compromising their values. Social media influencers have turned modest fashion into a cultural phenomenon, showing that covering up can be just as bold and beautiful as bearing it all. From the bustling streets of New York to the vibrant souks of Dubai, modest fashion is redefining beauty. It's not about hiding, it's about honoring your values, celebrating your heritage, and expressing who you are. The journey of modest fashion is nothing short of extraordinary. It's proof that style isn't just about trends, it's about timeless principles that evolve with the people who embrace them. So whether you're rocking a hijab, a prairie dress, or a vintage-inspired look, you're part of a story that spans centuries and cultures. At Timeless Modesty, we're here to celebrate that story. If you found this journey inspiring, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who believes in the power of fashion with meaning. Together, let's continue honoring the timeless art of modesty.